time for Fast Break. Fast Break is simply highlights, drama, and all of the other whatnots that happen within the sports world. So let's jump right into the return of Undisputed. Um, let's just say this was a total flaming hot mess of a disaster. First episode in, it took all of 2 days for Skip Bayless's revamped show to spiral completely out of control. The new crew of FS1's Undisputed, they basically haven't wasted any time letting their personalities clash in a fiery fashion. Now, the revamped show returned from a 2-month hiatus on Monday with Skip Bayless. I believe it was Monday the 28th. I'll take a look at that. But it returned with Skip Bayless, Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Michael Irving. Now, by Tuesday, Irvin and Johnson were already on the verge of leaving the set in the middle of a conversation about football. Now listen, while discussing Minnesota Vikings receiver Justin Jefferson's placement on the NFL list of its top 100 players, the group was debating how receivers should be valued in the league. Jefferson emerged as number 2. If you all hadn't looked at this list, he emerged at number 2 behind only Kansas City Chief quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Now, let's get into Richard Sherman, who's a retired NFL cornerback, said a receiver shouldn't be that high because their role is too reliant on other players. Now, he argued that QBs and even edge rushing defensive linemen are more important to a team because they're in complete control of their respective success or failure. Now, Key and Mike, two Hall of Famer receivers, predictably disagreed with that assessment. Then Sherman decided to take it a step further. Now, these are quotes from the show. And when I tell you guys it was a mess, it was a cringe-worthy 3 to 5 minutes. Now, Sherman said, "I'll say something to piss you off right now. Corner is a harder position." Now, Johnson and Irvin immediately got up from their seats and began walking away. Now, Keyshawn says, "See, now I gotta go, Mike. I just gotta get up out of here. Now, I'm not doing this with you," is what Michael Irvin said. And he turned around and faced Sherman. "I'm not doing this with you. Are you?" Stop. Explicit. Come on, dude. I promise you I'm about to leave this set. Now, after they returned to their seats, Johnson brought up the fact that Sherman initially was a receiver before playing cornerback in the NFL. He argued that Sherman made the switch because he knew he couldn't play receiver at the professional level. Now, Irvin rose from his seat to egg on Johnson at the 2-minute mark, and they high-fived each other. Now, we're at the 2-minute mark in this conversation. Now, 2-minute mark is a long time on TV to argue and debate over such a topic. All you got to do is run with somebody, Johnson added. "You ain't got to catch the ball," Irvin yelled at Sherman. "And you got a safety over there to help you," Irvin fired back. Now, Sherman, yes, it was that messy. Now, Sherman explained that he switched to avoid being dependent on other players. "The reason I moved positions is because I didn't want to be dependent on anybody else," he said. Now, the explanation grew groans of disbelief from former receivers. "I want to control my own destiny," he continued. "I want to make sure that I impacted every play. I didn't want no water breaks. If it's a 10-play series and you play corner, I'm on the field for 10 plays. Now, I have no idea the direction of what this show is headed for or going to be. Insert after all of that, here comes Lil Wayne on the set, just as cool as a fan, as if nothing is going on, gives his colorful commentary on the sports highlights for the weeks, and leaves. And Skip, while all of this is happening, is just sitting back like, well, it's not me this time. So since then, there have been many other guests appearances in place of Sherman, and just, you know, Michael Irvin is just completely ghost at this point. And you have Key, who is sitting there trying to save face on every episode and try to change the tone of the show. Meanwhile, Skip's favorite segment is when Young Money shows up and they can discuss highlights in sports. So it's a mess. However, I'm hopeful that the show can turn around and make a nice meal out of that messy pot of gumbo that's going on over there on FS1. So in my opinion, Key, Mike, Rich, and Skip, and I'll throw in Lil Wayne, I think there is a good setup. I do like it, but I do think that there needs to be a bit of a tweak, and I'm not going to give up on the show yet. So we'll see exactly what happens on the next couple of episodes on Undisputed on FS1. That is it for that part of Fast Break. Now, when we come back, I am going to jump into Coach Prime. He set out to prove a point, and did he? Well, let's check out and see what he did this past weekend. We'll be right back. Prime time. Yes. Now, Deion Sanders set out to prove a point and show up and shut up all of the naysayers and haters. Now, did his football team do that? Yes, they did that, and the Buffs keep receipts. So let's jump a little bit deeper into it. Now, this wasn't Georgia preaching the nobody believed in us narrative after clinching its second consecutive national title last season. And frankly, many times that cliche doesn't even really ring true. But then there's Colorado. Now, the Buffaloes stunned everybody with their 45-42 road win against number 17 TCU in Deion Sanders' FBS head coaching debut. Now, Colorado entered the game as a 20-point dog. Yes, a 20-point underdog. Now, let's look at a couple points here. You have 4 Buffs, right? You had Hunter, Horn Jr., Weaver, and Edwards. Had 100+ receiving yards this past weekend, and Deion's son set a program record with 510 passing yards, highlighted by 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 81% completion rate. Now, Hunter played 129 snaps combined on offense and defense. There were 160 total in the game. Now, Hunter is the first FBS player in the past 20 seasons to have at least 100 receiving yards and a defensive interception in the same game. Now, he is him, Coach Prime said at the half. We missed him on 2 deep balls. If we hit those, the Heisman is in his crib chilling right now. So he had a lot to say about that. And to continue, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Buffs crack the top 25 on Tuesday. They earned the honorary 10th spot in Nicole Auerbach's ranking. This was their first road win over a top 20 team since 2002. Now listen, it's week 1. Let's not get too excited here. Okay, it's week 1. And if you want to look at it in total, yes, the defense gave up 42 points, I believe. Yes, 42 points. So it's week 1, and Colorado already matched this win total for the last season, but it's still week 1. And, defense wins games. So I think they need a little bit of work on the defense. But to continue, Coach Prime's transfer portal exodus, whether you liked it or not, made this outcome seem impossible. Instead, Saturday's result completely changed what we thought we knew about roster construction and basically the growing pains for new coaches and players. The game snapped TCU's 9-game winning streak against Pac-12 10 opponents dating back to 2003. But the story wasn't about TCU losing, even though the Honored Frogs played in the last season's national championship game. This was about Colorado winning. Now, Dion said at the press conference, "Oh, we told them we were coming." Now, he said that to Fox after the game. "You thought we were joking, but guess what? We keep receipts." So he definitely is feeling himself. He should. They came off of a great win. Like I said, I do think the defense needs a little bit of work, but it is week 1. So let's see exactly what tweaks need to happen and if they can keep this up. But Coach Prime didn't come to play, and he's letting all his haters know, listen, I heard you. I hear you. It's nobody like me, and we're going to leave it out all on the field. So let's see what happens in week 2. And I believe that they are playing... I have to look at the schedule. But let's just see. Okay, let's see what happens. But hats off to Coach Prime. He did his thing. He proved his haters wrong. And shouts out to him and his team in Colorado. So lastly, on Fast Break, we are going to come back and get into the biggest ego in sports commentary, sports news, whatever you have it, sports podcasting. Yes, Stephen A. Smith. So we'll be right back to chat about Mr. Smith in a second. He has me. Let's just start it off right there. He has me. Is what Stephen A. Smith so ever eloquently and casually put out there as the reason behind wanting Shannon on First Take. Now, Shannon and Stephen A. sat down on Club Shay Shay to have a conversation, and you can tell that Unc was a little bit emotional regarding his tenure at FS1 on Undisputed, perhaps some of the issues between him and Skip, but overall, he wasn't displeased. It was just simply time to move on. However, it seems that Stephen A. Smith's priority in publicly pushing for Sharp to join him at ESPN was driven by far more than a desire to bring on a formidable new debate partner to First Take. Now, in a recent appearance on the podcast, the 55-year-old Smith laid out why he was so outspoken on Sharp's options following his unexpected departure from FS1. Now, I'll stop there. I don't necessarily think his departure was unexpected, because if you follow Sharp and Skip, this had been rumored months before it happened. So there was kind of a lead up to it. And there was a lot of speculation that would happen. But in my opinion, it wasn't that unexpected. Now, here's the ego. Let me just go through a couple of notes here. Stephen A. says, "I wanted the world to know you were wanted." Then he told that to Sharp on his podcast. "That was the most important thing to me. I didn't want you to be in a situation where the sports world looked at you and said, 'What did he do? He must have done something, per se.'" So then Smith admitted that the honchos at ESPN were well aware that he wanted Sharp to join him, but regardless of if his future lied at First Take or elsewhere, he ultimately believed that Sharp was someone, quote, "that I think has done a lot of good work on television that has helped our community." And as a result, it is incumbent on me, because of the perch that I sit on. Yes, he said, because of the perch that I sit on, to let them know he's wanted. Don't cut him off. Now, a lot of people have said that for him, this is hit home for Stephen A. Smith, because in 2009, if you remember, he was dropped from ESPN. Basically, everybody cut him off, and he said that the industry cut me off. Now, Smith, believing that he was done, he had an opportunity to come back in 2012 and join Skip on First Take, and eventually departed Undisputed, where he joined forces on ESPN with his own show. And then, of course, Sharp went over to Undisputed with Skip for, I think, about 7 years. But while Smith said he was blessed and fortunate enough to have enough connections and to do what I do to overcome it, he was uncertain if Sharp was in the same situation. The ego just keeps going. As such, he added, "Let me let the world know that he has me." Now, Sharp has since reshared the clip on X. I have no idea, formerly known as Twitter, along with the caption, "That's love and support." I have my own personal feelings about it, but he is now set to join Stephen A. and Molly on First Take, I believe, starting September 4th, but he's only going to be there, I believe, every Monday and Tuesday. So I get it. A lot of people look at this as, a brother looking out for another brother. Don't shun him like you guys did me back in 2009. But in my opinion, I'm just gonna lay mine out there. If you have yours, obviously you can leave me a comment. Let's discuss it. But I believe Shannon was gonna be fine. Now, Stephen A., to me, is using this opportunity to jump on a moving train. ESPN wanted Shannon with or without Stephen A. Now, it's almost like he has the right line, but a rusty hook, because Shannon has a different type of strength than Stephen A. And, we only know what the plans are, but, I'm all for the unity and black men coming together and having a platform to discuss whatever, but don't get it twisted, okay? Stephen A. never skips an opportunity to make any and everything about him. So it's like saying, "I'm sorry, but," well, a but negates an apology. He spared no expense making it seem like, "I'm bringing you in. You need me. I made this possible." So we'll see exactly what happens on September the 4th, but that is it for Fast Break. If you like this short segment, let me know. Leave me a comment. If you want me to do more, I will. But that's it for this week, guys, and we'll get into some NFL action and some more college football next week and see what's going on. But you all take care. Peace out.